We've got this major revelation out of the Justice Department, an FBI document showing that the media that pretends to be neutral, pretends to be fair, pretends to give the president a fair shake, was out to get him. How were they out to get him? We have a document showing that AP reporters, and this is the headline, gave the DOJ and FBI Ukraine info and code to private locker of Paul Manafort in an apparent effort to push a criminal investigation. It is unbelievable. And who was their contact? Andrew Weissman. This all occurred. Andrew Weissman was the deputy, the anti-Trump deputy to Robert Mueller. And all of this occurred even before Weissman was hired, just before he was hired. So the Associated Press, you got to read the document because, and I encourage you, the document's on our website at judicialwatch.org. It's 30 pages, and it's a full, it's the full FBI memo of the meeting. And it's redacted, obviously, but it shows that the AP was showing up at the doorstep. Weissman had set this meeting up, and the AP shows up with this information and is pushing for a criminal investigation of Paul Manafort, going so far as to offer the combination code to Manafort's locker, which happened to have been raided just a few weeks later by the Weissman-led Mueller special counsel team. Now, does that sound like neutral reporting by the Associated Press? You know, the AP has this reputation, I think undeserved, of being a fair reporting, just the facts journalism news service. It isn't. Like most of the media during the Trump presidency and the end of the Obama administration, the veil has been fully lifted. They are advocacy organizations that sometimes commit journalism. And the AP is no exception. And of course, the media is covering this up because they don't want to expose corruption by either the Justice Department targeting Trump or corruption by the media targeting Trump. So this is the purpose of the meeting, according to the June 11th follow-up. The meeting took place in April of 2017. So this was an off-the-record meeting set up by Andrew Weissman, who was then chief of the Justice Department's criminal fraud section, the DOJ, the FBI, and the Associated Press. So these are the notes of the meeting. The purpose of the meeting, as it was explained to SSA, the supervisory special agent, whose name is redacted, was to obtain documents from the AP reporters that were related to their investigative reports on Paul Manafort. Of course, we didn't get any of those investigative documents. During the meeting, AP reporters provided the FBI information about the storage locker of Manafort. This is what it says. This is from the FBI document. The AP reporters advised that they had located a storage facility in Virginia that belonged to Manafort. The code to the lock on the locker is, I'll read you the code, you probably won't be able to use it, 409-44859. The reporters were aware of the unit number and address, but they declined to share that information. Well, they really didn't need to because obviously the FBI could easily find that. It's the code that was key. The reporter shared the information, quote, that, quote, payments for the locker were made from DM Partners account that received money from the Ukraine Party of Regions. The note suggests that the AP pushed for criminal prosecution of Manafort. This is the FBI notes about what AP was telling them. AP believes Manafort is in violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act. Oh, surprise, surprise. He was prosecuted under that. Rarely prosecuted law, by the way. In that Manafort sent internal U.S. documents to officials in Ukraine. AP has documentation proving this, as well as Manafort noting his understanding doing so would get him into trouble. AP asked about the U.S. government charging Manafort with violating Title 18, Section 1001, for lying to government officials, and it asked if the FBI has interviewed Manafort. FBI and DOJ had no comment on this question. So they're pushing, when you read between the lines here, or frankly, read what's in your face here, they're pushing for a prosecution of Manafort for lying and for violating the Foreign Agents Registration Act. Does that sound like a neutral reporter meeting with government officials? They're going in there to advocate for Manafort's prosecution. According to the FBI's write-up, the AP reporters asked about the FAR violations, Foreign Agents Registration Act violations, and they were generally told they are enforceable. So they were pushing for a prosecution. Now remember, one of the abuses of the Mueller operation was to charge people on violations of law that typically had been handled administratively before. So typically before the targeting of Trump, that if someone was in violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, someone said, hey, look, you know, you may want to be, it looks to us like you should be registered, register. And that usually just was the end of the issue. And so, and at worst, it was an administrative fine. I think there had only been a handful of prosecutions under it. But then because of this Get Trump effort, the Justice Department went to that toolbox to use that rarely enforced law to abuse General Flynn, to abuse Paul Manafort and others. And of course, only the Republicans involved in that Ukraine scandal were successfully prosecuted. Greg Craig, who did exactly what Manafort was alleged to have done, it looks like, was found innocent. That's a whole other ball of wax. Although, according to the FBI write-up, no commitments were made by the DOJ to assist the reporters, Andrew Weissman asked the AP to contact foreign authorities to follow up. So they're pretending, you see all the in these notes that, oh look, we met with these AP reporters and we were just in receive mode. Oh no, Andrew Weissman tasked the AP to go talk to a foreign government to make sure that all the dirt that could be gotten on Manafort is gotten. This is the notes. These are the notes. After the meeting was started and it was explained to the reporters that there was nothing that the FBI could provide to them, the reporters opted to ask a series of questions to see if the FBI would provide clarification. So you get to play 21 questions with the FBI. No commitments were made to assist the reporters in their further investigation into the life and activities of Paul Manafort, and the AP reporters understood that the meeting would be off the record. They, the reporters, reiterated that they had written in their article, which was a response from the Cypriot Anti-Money Laundering Authority, that they had fully responded to the Department of Treasury agents in response to Treasury's request. This is about Manafort. The AP reporters were interested in how this arrangement worked and if the U.S. had made a formal request. So they're trying to figure out why it is Treasury was sniffing around Manafort. FBI DOJ did not respond, but Weissman suggested that they ask the Cypriots if they had provided everything to which they had access to, or if they'd only provided what they were legally required to provide. So Weissman is using the AP as an agent to communicate with a foreign government to get dirt on Paul Manafort. How else would you interpret that? The AP reporters asked if we, the DOJ FBI, would be willing to tell them if they were off base or on the wrong track, and they were advised that they appeared to have good understanding of Manafort's business dealings. So yes, the AP had all of their information essentially confirmed by the DOJ and FBI in their investigation into Paul Manafort. AP reporter asked if there had been any official requests to other countries. This is more of this game. The FBI DOJ declined to discuss specifics except to state that the mutual legal assistance treaty requests are negotiated by diplomats, so they should remain at that level. What does that mean? Maybe. AP reporters told the FBI about the payments in the so-called Black Ledger, a Ukrainian record of allegedly illegally off-the-books payments to Manafort and others. So remember, this Black Ledger was leaked by a Ukrainian official during the campaign. So the AP went into this ledger. So this is why Trump was upset, because the Ukrainians were targeting him. They were leaking information to try to undermine his campaign. The government was. So the AP is analyzing this information and bringing it to the Justice Department, which is confirming information in the Black Ledger. And then the AP went through an extensive list of issues with Weissman. about Manafort. Details I won't bother you with. But it was all designed to generate additional criminal investigations by the FBI and the Justice Department. This work product that had been sent to the Ukraine was described as an internal, quote, White House document. The FBI report stated it was not clear if the document was classified. So they're providing that information on what Manafort allegedly did to the FBI and Justice Department. What sort of reporters do this? I mean, typically when there's a story about to break, a reporter will call up the Justice Department or the FBI at the last minute saying, we're going to report this, do you have any comment? So either they provide no comment, or if the reporting is touching on sensitive matters or classified information, the DOJ and FBI may go crazy and start calling the editors and saying you can't publish this. It will put criminal prosecutions, people at risk, or classified information at risk. But obviously none of that was at issue here. They weren't looking for comment. They were looking to push a criminal investigation of Paul Manafort. And Paul Manafort equals Donald Trump. Okay? That's the subtext here. It's all about Donald Trump. Now, what would I do if I saw this type of information and I were President of the United States? I'd see this as one more reason to pardon Paul Manafort. You had this corrupt collusion between the Justice Department and the FBI. You had this abusive prosecution of him. Remember, they raided his home. Pre-dawn raid, guns drawn, and they went in and photographed his suits. AP told Weissman about his suits. President Trump should pardon Paul Manafort, should pardon General Flynn, should pardon virtually every American caught up at Mueller's web. Everyone. Yeah, I know there are people who probably committed crimes. But the prosecutions of them can't be trusted, were corrupted, and should be negated by a presidential pardon. I'm glad there's a criminal investigation going on. What they need to do is criminally investigate or review the whole Mueller investigation and the corruption involved there. We got the proof. And it's, and again, it's the result of a Judicial Watch lawsuit. And, my colleague printed out in preparation and helping me set up for this report to you, just, when you look at this press release, it's just a few pages, they got one document, but look what goes into all of this. We got the documents, we got the background stories, we've got other documents, we got more background. We've got the lawsuit that we filed. There's a lot of work that goes into every Judicial Watch revelation. And frankly, this is only a fraction of it. I wouldn't be able to lift everything behind lawsuits like this. Congress isn't doing this. The Justice Department only does it when we sue them. When did we sue them for this? Because I know we sued them, and they said they're going to give us the documents, and they just delayed and delayed and delayed because they knew this was bad. So we asked for this. When did we request this? I want to show you how long this takes to get the information out. July 5th, 2018. We sued in April of this year. So we've waited a year and a half for all the information. If Durham is doing his work, he should be investigating Mueller too. Andrew Weissman, the FBI, the corrupted investigation that led to prosecutions of Americans tied to Donald Trump, all with the goal of obviously overturning the election, jailing Trump, impeaching him, whatever. The seditious, malicious conspiracy, the coup.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.